Hey dealers, did you know that your parts team shouldn't just be selling products? Rather, they should be selling solutions. On this episode of Beyond the Showroom, we're going to talk to you guys about how to make your parts counter a profit center. Hey guys, I'm Greg Jones with Motorcycle and Powersports News. This is Maggie Stevens of Powersports Playbook. Maggie, today we're talking a little bit more about the parts counter and how to make that department more profitable, specifically with what they're selling and how they're selling. So Maggie, one thing people might think about is, oh, we're just selling a part. We're just going to give somebody the part they asked for, and that's kind of the bare minimum mentality, which it gets you by.
It does. It does, technically.
But yeah, there's so much more that person behind the counter can be doing to do more in that sale and do more for the customer. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. What are some of those easy ways in this regard that the parts center can be profitable?
So I'm a huge fan of the upsell and the cross sell. And I say that not just because, oh, we should be selling more. Yes, we should, but I look at it as another way of customer service. So if someone comes in, we've used this example before, but if someone comes in and buys an oil filter, everyone should ask, do you need an oil filter or oil, and do you need the funnel, right? Or whatever the two that would go with it.
Right.
You always ask what takes from the single product and turns it into a package. The reasoning why, obviously it's going to make you more money. You're going to have better profit margins because you're selling a $300 package potentially versus a $10 oil filter or a $15 oil filter. So there's that. The other part of it too, you start to anchor yourself in the customer's mind as someone that takes care of them. No one, and we've all had this experience, we go somewhere, we buy the widget because we were so focused on buying the widget, and then we forget the three other things we need, and then by the time we get home, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot everything. Right. So you either go back and buy it again and pray you don't forget anything the second time, or you're like, whatever, I give up. Yeah. That's a reason why places like Amazon, again, we've talked about Amazon before, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's doing the things consistently that, again, people at the parts counter can equally do as well. Yeah. So making sure those recommendations are the same every single time, it builds trust. And then you make sure that your people are going home with all of the product they need. So they might come in and buy that oil filter, and they may say no to the oil in the funnel, but they might be like, you know what, I forgot I needed a spark plug, or I forgot I needed a coolant, or whatever it is, right? Yeah. Now you've opened up that to a conversation. You're still within your 5 to 10 minute time frame of interaction, so you're not taking a transaction and making it crazy long. But the other thing too is you're making it so that you care for your customer, and then they really do start to trust you because you're making it so that they can win by the time they go home.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And that's what I was thinking as we were talking through that is you're not just giving them what they needed. Yeah. You're now showing your expertise. Yes. And giving them even more by trying to bundle what they might need. Yeah. Or you're reminding them of other products that maybe they don't need it right then, but they planned on getting it soon, and you jog their memory. So,
for sure.
So Maggie, do you want to elaborate on, again, more of those differences between your average parts counter versus,
So average parts counter, you're normally going to have what we call order takers. And we all whisper it behind our hands, but they're called order takers. They say, okay, you want this? Okay, and that's it. They never sell you anything else. Versus the other ones that will upsell, cross-sell, they'll make valid recommendations. And when I say that, some people can be like, oh, well, I upsell all the time. But are you making a valid recommendation, preferably in a structured package that makes sense? If I'm selling an oil filter, I'm not going to say oh, by the way, do you want a set of handlebars? There's no context in the conversation. You look slimy, you look sleazy, but if you're doing a natural cross-sell, oh, you have an oil filter, do you need an oil wrench? Oh, you have an oil filter, you need oil. It's a natural cross-sell or upsell, and you don't come across as sleazy. And you make it so that you're helpful. And then from there, we've talked about packages a little bit before, but you now can start branding packages. So some of the favorite things that we used to do is we would have branded packages. We'd have a branded first service package and a branded full service package. And we would ask the customers, do you need a first service or a full service? And even if they said yes or no, it started a conversation. And that's how very easily you could take a $15 product and turn it into a $300 transaction. Times that by several times a day, times multiple people, profit center. It really becomes a profit center. And then you don't have this crazy dead inventory that's just sitting there because no one asked the question of, hey, do you need this?
Now, Maggie, as you're explaining this, I'm sure a lot of people might be thinking, oh, that's common sense. Like, why wouldn't somebody, who's, getting a part for a customer recommend some other stuff? But it's not.
No.
It's not something that they might be thinking about in the moment.
No.
So how important is training your parts department to think that way and deliver that experience for customers?
Super important. So you're going to need to make it simple. They have a busy job. I don't care what part of the dealership you're in. You're running around on a good day, you're running around like your hair is on fire. You do not have time to be slowed down or bogged down or have things feel frustrating and cumbersome. Like, I've worked at the counter for a very long time. When we had our shop, when I was, a parts manager for someone else, and you have on average, and this is a little controversial, but you have on average 5 minutes per transaction for a basic transaction. I'm not talking about a portal build or an engine rebuild, a normal one, about 5 minutes. And that's from the moment they open their mouth to the moment you cash them out. You have a lot to do in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So a good parts manager is going to make it effortless for their team. So maybe you have a list of all of the most common packages. Maybe you do a pop quiz once a week and you're like, hey, here's your product. Give me 2 cross-sells and upsells. I used to love doing that because sometimes you would get really good answers that were slightly different. My favorite would be I would ask one guy at the counter, I'm like, okay, I'm both going to have you do an upsell and cross-sell for handlebars, but you can't use that person's answer. So you start to practice and role model a little bit and role play different ways that you could sell that, because what if they need handlebars but they already have grips? What else can we sell with that?
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit fun, but it also builds that muscle memory. So when you're doing that 5-minute transaction, you're fast too. You're not having to stop, think, wait, and slow down the transaction, because no one, and I've had this happen to me, I'm not perfect by any means, but no one likes it when you're struggling to look something up. They go on their phone, and I've had people do this. They go on their phone, they're on Amazon, and they look it up faster than you, and they show you, because they're going to rub it in your face, they show you, I could buy this from Amazon cheaper and faster, so why am I here? Click buy, and then they walk away. It's brutal, that feeling.
Yeah.
A good chunk of it is preventable. You're never going to have 100% because, again, sometimes people just do it to be mean. But 98, 95% of the time, it's totally preventable if you make it easy for your team to sell.
So yeah, that training's important. Having that bundle or that package, kind of ready to go is important.
Yes.
Let's talk about stocking. And, stocking smart versus just stocking more.
Yeah.
Explain that difference a little bit.
So I'm a fan of using your reports. I don't care what reporting system you have, as long as you're not doing pen and paper. And if you're doing pen and paper, been there, done that. Like, first time I started doing dealership life, I was doing pen to paper. It was a fun experience, but no judgment. But you should be able to run a report and see what's selling, and then you should be able to see what's seasonally selling versus what's selling 24/7. And then from there, you're going to start looking at your buying packages. So maybe you went to, again, AIM Expo. I used to love to do my discounts off of AIM. Go to AIM, come back, and then I would get an extra 5 to 15% of bonus if I hit a certain number. I'm like, okay, well, I need to order $10,000 worth of products. What am I going to sell that's a tried and true within the last 6 months? And I know no matter what, I can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And that would let me, spend the money, and then I could hit my margin. And so now, again, yes, you're stocking, right? You're spending money, but you're spending it on product that's going to sell, that you have a proven track record. And I don't care what the track record is. Every dealership's going to be different. Every shop is going to have their nuances and their flavors. So that's fine. Go off of your reporting and let that make the buying decision pretty obvious for you.
So Maggie, obviously this would fluctuate dealer to dealer.
Yes.
But if they implement these things where they're bundling and packaging and they're stocking smart, how much difference can that make in the parts department?
A bad dealership that's not doing this, it can be almost a 20-point swing. It very easily could be a 20-point swing.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I like to use practical examples. If I was able to raise your income by 20%, would you say no? No one says that, right?
Yeah.
We'd all be like, oh my God, of course, send it. What do I need to do? Same concept. If you're pretty dialed in, you're maybe 5 to 10%, but if you're that dialed in, 5 to 10% can be $500,000.
Sure.
Again, you're not doing anything extra. You're not hiring extra staff, not having extra infrastructure. You're using all the existing things you have. Maybe you're adding a PDF. Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to get that much more money out of your dealership and not have to invest anything outside of a little bit of training and a little bit of practice,
yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Sign me up.
Yep.
I'll do it.
Yeah. All right. So, Maggie, I think we went through majority there,
Yeah.
but if there is any key takeaway that we hit on that you just want to reiterate for the dealers out there,
Yeah.
what would that be?
So let's keep this one simple. Let's start making a package list. Let's do that and have fun with it. So you're going to run out of all the boring stuff. You're going to run out of the oil filter and funnel, right? You're going to get past that. Start making it fun. What is your dealership known for? Are you a mud dealership? Are you a long distance cruiser dealership?
Yeah.
What are you known for? And take some of those packages and start branding it about what you are. So then that way it can be a branded package and it makes sense and you'll have a lot better interactions with your customers and they'll get a kick out of it too.
Yeah, I would guess that they'd want to buy it,
Yeah.
for sure.
They have a lot of fun with it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, guys. Well, there's a couple of great ways to make your parts department more profitable. So make sure you're checking out what Maggie's doing at Powersports Playbook. Make sure you're checking out what's on motorcyclepowersportsnews.com. And make sure you come back for the next episode of Beyond the Showroom. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.